Hello and welcome to the Hawk Central Huddle for Week 3 of the college football season. I'm Chris Cuellar. With me, as always, is Hawkeye columnist Chad Leistikow. We are coming out of Cy-Hawk Week, heading into North Dakota State Week, Chad. A 42-3 win over the weekend. We were both at Kinnick Stadium for. A little more emphatic than either of us thought that it might be. What do you take out of the gigantic rivalry win?
Well, certainly Iowa's most impressive performance in a long time, in my opinion. I think you can probably compare it to last year's Northwestern win as far as a complete performance, offense, defense, special teams. Now, Iowa State is pretty bad. I think that's pretty obvious too. And we'll get to see probably Iowa's best opponent this week.
Yeah, that was kind of the talking point all day long yesterday in Iowa City as we were at press conferences was this is the best team we're going to see. Lots of respect for North Dakota State from the Iowa football players and coaching staff. Why do you think it's the best team that they've seen to this point and might actually see for the first month and a half of the season?
Yeah, and that's a good point because one thing I think Hawkeye fans should be happy about is Iowa players do seem to be taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. A lot of times on Tuesdays, you can kind of read body language, what they're saying, to know kind of how their preparation's been. And they're definitely focused on these guys. They're not overlooking them.
FCS school doesn't seem to mean much to these guys.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously, you all know that they're 5-time defending national champions. Yes. One thing I thought that Ferentz pointed out, it was pretty impressive that I hadn't thought about before, is they've gone in the FCS playoffs 20-0 in those winner-go-home high-stakes games in the past 5 years, and that's just, I mean, hard to believe.
Sure.
And then you look at their first 2 weeks this season against good FCS teams. They've gone overtime, but they've won both those games in overtime. So they do know how to win. The key is Iowa doesn't want to let them stay close.
Sure, and we talked to CJ Beathard about that a little bit. They haven't seen, Iowa's offense hasn't seen too much of the 2-minute drill or rush situations,
yeah, right.
So we'll have to see if they get into any of those. But maybe more interesting even than CJ, kind of a reliable guy at this point, is the running back situation, Chad. We got 3 guys in very different places at this point in the year.
Yeah, Akram Wadley, a little banged up with his knee. He's been Iowa's most spectacular back so far. I don't know how much we'll see him on Saturday. He will play, but he only had 9 carries against Iowa State. I would look for more LaShawn Daniels, who looked fantastic against Iowa State. Another long touchdown run.
Over 100?
Yep, and I think it's important to remember that this is a guy that struggled to stay healthy, and they've loved him and wanted to see him healthy. Now we're seeing him healthy. I think we'll see a lot more of Daniels on Saturday, and that's a good thing.
And Derek Mitchell appears, you mentioned him in your column, that appears to be a third down passing back. Maybe we'll see more of him at all?
Yeah, I would think so. I think I'd like to see him run the ball more, but yeah, he's a good pass blocker, and CJ needs that.
Wonderful. You can check out all of Chad's content, Mark Emmert's comment from Iowa City, and my stuff at hawkcentral.com all week long. Be sure to join our Facebook Live that follows the Hawk Central Huddle. Thanks so much for tuning in.